The warning no one saw coming. Imagine walking into a supermarket one morning and seeing an entire shelf stripped bare. No product, no branding, just a cold white recall notice taped to the rack. Not because the food was spoiled, not because it tasted bad, but because of one missing word on a label. Today, I'm breaking down a real-world scenario where a single allergen failure triggered a recall so severe it nearly wiped out a trusted brand. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why allergen control isn't just a food safety rule. It's a brand survival system. If you care about how factories really work and what goes wrong behind the scenes, subscribe now, because these are the stories brands never advertise. Chapter 1. Allergens. The most dangerous ingredient in the factory in food manufacturing. Allergens are different from bacteria. You can't cook them out. You can't dilute the risk once they're inside the product. Once an undeclared allergen leaves the factory, the damage is already done. That's why regulators treat allergen recalls as the most serious category, the kind that assumes serious injury or even death is possible. What makes this more dangerous is that most allergen recalls don't begin with reckless factories or obvious negligence. They start with small, invisible system failures that no one notices until it's too late. Chapter 2. The product that looked perfect. On the surface, everything looked fine. The product was selling well. Customer reviews were positive, audits were clean, and there were no complaints. It wasn't a new product or a rushed launch. It had been made the same way hundreds of times before. That familiarity became its biggest weakness, because when something has always been fine, no one expects it to be the source of a disaster. The product moved through the supply chain like any other day until someone looked a little closer. Chapter 3. The email that changed everything. The first alarm didn't come from an inspector or a regulator. It came from a customer. Someone with a food allergy who did what millions of people do every day. They read the ingredient list carefully. They noticed something missing and sent a simple email asking for confirmation. That message triggered an internal review. The review triggered a label check. And then the room went quiet, because the allergen was present in the factory environment, but completely absent from the label. In that moment, the company realized it wasn't dealing with a theoretical risk. It was dealing with a live one. Chapter 4. How does this even happen? From the outside, it's easy to assume carelessness. People imagine corners being cut or rules being ignored. But the reality was far more unsettling. The allergen wasn't part of the recipe at all. It was introduced through shared equipment. The same production line was used for different products, and while cleaning took place, the verification wasn't strong enough. The factory believed the changeover process worked, but belief is not validation. And in allergen control, what you assume is safe can quietly become your biggest liability. Why these stories matter? Pause for a moment, because this isn't just a story about one brand. If you work in food manufacturing, quality, engineering, or supply chain, this is a mirror. The same conditions exist in thousands of factories right now. If you want more real-world factory failure stories that actually teach lessons instead of repeating corporate slogans like this video, what happens next is where everything spirals out of control. Chapter 5. The recall that escalated too fast. At first, the company hoped the issue would stay small. A limited batch recall, a quiet withdrawal, minimal disruption. But regulators asked a single question that changed everything. How do you know it was only one batch? The company didn't have a clear answer. Cleaning records were generic, testing was infrequent, and production sequencing hadn't been designed around allergen risk. With no solid boundary, the recall widened. Then it widened again. Soon, weeks of production were under suspicion. Retailers pulled stock immediately. Distribution centers froze shipments. Online listings disappeared overnight. The brand didn't just lose sales, it lost access to the market. Chapter 6. The real cost. No one talks about a recall isn't just about destroying product. It triggers emergency audits, legal reviews, insurance investigations, and intense scrutiny from retailers. But the most damaging cost is consumer fear. Allergen scares linger. Parents don't forget them. Customers don't take second chances when health is involved. Sales didn't slowly decline. They collapsed. And once trust is broken, no amount of marketing can repair it quickly. Chapter 7. The twist. The label was technically approved. Here's the twist most people never expect. The label had been approved. It was signed off, version controlled, and archived. On paper, everything was correct. But the allergen risk assessment hadn't been updated when suppliers changed, production schedules shifted, and new products were introduced on the same line. The system assumed stability while reality kept changing. The paperwork froze in time. This wasn't one mistake. It was death by assumptions. Chapter 8. Why this nearly destroyed the brand. The damage didn't stop with the recall. Retailers downgraded the supplier's risk rating. Audits became harsher. Controls became more expensive. Margins shrank. The brand survived, but just barely, and it never fully regained its shelf space. All of this happened because an allergen everyone believed was under control quietly slipped through the system. Chapter 9. The lesson factories. Learn too late. Allergen control isn't a document or a spreadsheet. It isn't a matrix stored in a folder or a tick box on an audit checklist. It's a living system that depends on validated cleaning, risk-based scheduling, label reviews that actually follow process changes, and training that assumes human error will happen. The most dangerous phrase in food manufacturing is still the same. We've always done it this way. The question you should be asking. So here's the real question. If a customer emailed you tomorrow, could you prove your allergen controls, or would you just believe in them? Because belief doesn't stop recalls. Systems do. Subscribe for more factory stories where tiny mistakes cause massive consequences. And if you've ever seen an allergen near miss, drop a comment below. Shared lessons save lives. In food manufacturing, the smallest missing word can cost everything.